Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, July 27th. I had that moment the other day where I realized it's like the end of July. I was like, wow, where did that go? And you are here for our Google Sites 201 course. To be totally honest, until about 20 years ago, I thought this was a Google Sites 101 class. So, yeah, it happens to everybody. So, I was like, it's all good. So, what I did is I'm going to show you some things. And I'm hoping that everybody has used sites before. So, but I do want to just kind of like walk you through the basics and then kind of tie all of these pieces together, and I think it'll make sense for probably what you want to do. If you could make sure to put your name in the chat. I think almost everybody did. I just want to make sure, and then we'll work from there. I am going to put a link for today's session. Some of you already typed it in. I can see somebody's in there. So here it is. And this is a, what I'm going to call, this is bare bones. So we're going to add to this as we go. So no worries. Good morning, Katie. Um, and I also didn't mute everybody. So no worries. Katie, I just put the link to the document in the session in the chat. Okay, so what I wanted to start this with is really to take some time to walk you through a few Google sites so you could see some things that are in them. Now, we all know what a website is, so it's pretty easy. And because I've used Google Sites before, it's pretty simple to navigate. Um, the creation of resources for your students is really what a Google site is. I'm sorry, guys. I have to turn off my friends because if I don't, they're literally going to pop into the session the entire time. There, they're gone now. It's not really my friends, it's my colleagues. Well, they're still my friends, but they're going to ask me a gajillion questions because they think I'm back and available. Um, so, when we think about a website, and if we think back to the early 2000s, really that's when websites kind of hit, like I would say 2008, 2009, in that time frame is when they kind of hit what I would say their peak. And teachers started to make their own websites, and then you were kind of at the mercy of whatever your district gave you for a tool, right? Some of us used Weebly. Woo, I actually was the web designer for our school webpage, so I was using a pretty high level component, which was a little bit more work to get done, and you had to build tables, and you had to do all these things, and you had to write HTML code, and you had to, ugh, right? So, right, and some of you are shaking your head. Well, the two of you that I can see are shaking your head. So I get Katie and Ellison, you're like, yeah, right. And it was disheartening because it was really, it took a long time. And then you'd have like one little thing out of line and it didn't look right. And we'd go back in and it was massively labor intensive. So Google Sites, or Google has made sites pretty user friendly. Like we can literally drop anything into it. And what I did is at the bottom of this document, I actually put three Google sites that are out there. So I'm going to start with the bottom one. This is mine. I'm going to show you some of the possibilities, and then we're going to we're going to come in and kind of explore some of the ways. So you now have the keys to the kingdom. You have my web page, which I am in the process of actually buying a domain for KVB EdTech lovers. I know I'm going to go hardcore. I've decided it's time to like do this, and it's kind of down the road of what I would like my plan to be as I move towards the thought of retirement. So when we look at this, you can see here's some of the things I have in mind. So just as you kind of look through, you'll see some ideas. One of the reasons I am using a web page is because I want to be able to allow teachers and administrators to book me, to find a time to come in and schedule an appointment with me without a direct right to my calendar. Okay, so they can see my calendar. Not that this is much different, but you can see that I have a calendar here, and I'm actually using this app. I'm just going to show this to you so you can see what it looks. If you've never seen, you can book me. It's called Book Me, and you can come and you can book to my calendar, which is really kind of cool. If it's grayed out, it means I'm busy. Like today, I'm literally busy until 11:30. So let's just say, because I think my boss just booked something. So I'm just going to click this time. This is kind of one of those other things, and I'll just do it myself. My boss just booked us a meeting, and it's just a team meeting. So I'm not a robot. I confirm the booking. It's pretty easy. It's all done. All right. So what I like about that is when I come back out here into my calendar, this will see, you can see Allison booked a time with me earlier last week. This will refresh and this will show that I'm booked during that time, which I really like. So you see, I just booked myself, which I've been using that. I have to use Outlook in my work. So the way I've been doing it from Outlook, I've been just sending the email invitation to myself and then it blocks it out so that it kind of keeps things neat. I really like this because it's visual for people that I'm working with. So without sending everybody I know a link to my Google Calendar, because I just don't want to do that. I want them to kind of have to work to get there. Okay, so that's the first thing. The next thing, I have some pictures in here, some real basic things. I have a link to a model schools calendar. So right off the bat, I have a calendar, some pictures, a link to another page, and then the ability for people to book me. So then when we come up, some more things that I have in here, I have like an about section. This is always fun because most people can't usually figure out which one of these are lies, although everybody in the world has figured out that I am not a lover of bats and mice because I do not like that. And then I also have some other pictures of me in my first life, right? Look at that. That's little old me. Isn't that cute? Me in my first life, me as a teacher. I was a music teacher by trade. Every once in a while, I get to play my horn. That's my acts of choice. All right, so the next thing, then I have a resource page. Because really, I think the love, this is what we're actually going to work on today. We're going to come in here and build a page. And you'll notice I have some sub pages. So I have a stuff page. Obviously, this is something I've built when I've been training. It loads a little slow. So you can see there's some training materials in here. This is actually a slide presentation. Again, another slide presentation. And then I have just for fun, which is kind of a page for teachers can just send kids to that have new ideas. So think about those options. And then I actually have in here full training sets. So when I say a full training set, so any of the series that I've offered, I have them available so someone can come in and take them asynchronously without having to go out to Google, to YouTube to find them. So that's one set. Let me take you back and I'll show you. These are some of my colleagues and some of the ones they've built. So you can see that Erica, or as we call her, Nerica, she's a lot more into some different, she's got a much different look to hers. She's got more information in her header, some different ideas, and she has lots of information in here. So you can see pictures, but it's a little bulleted list. She also has some of the same ideas. And then she has a digital citizenship component in here. When you click in, this is some of the things she's doing with teachers. And she's just pulled some different videos in, not ones of her own. Mine are just my own videos. She has the Model Schools catalog here, and then she also has some other resources organized by topic. One more, let's do one more. So this is a second one that she's working on to rebuild. So she's rebuilding this one. So that other one was her first time. You can see she has the Book Me app as its own page, right? Which kind of makes sense. I have mine set kind of on my front page because it's something I want people to be able to use. I have it actually linked into my email. And then you can see some other ideas in here as well, more resources. Okay, so when we come into the Book Me app, and I'm going to come out of here and I'm going to just, no, not the Book Me app. Sorry, my brain went on vacation there. We come into Sites. I'm going to just go into Sites Google. So we know that anything we've already built sits in here and that there are templates that are also in here. I'm actually going to come into my document, my actual site, and work in here. Loading, loading, loading. It can be a little slow. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was just an organizational structure for yourself. So when I talk about that, I feel like if you guys are like me, you have a life that kind of looks like this and then maybe like this too. So if I click on my folders, you may have a bookajillion folders that sit over on the side, because quite honestly, I always say this to people, I've been teaching, I'm going on my 34th year. I have stuff everywhere, and I have a lot of it everywhere, right? And one of my frustrations right now is I lost my official office in December, and my stuff got spread. So some is here in Plattsburgh, some is I have another office in Chateaugay, and I actually have an office in Albany, right? So I have stuff everywhere. And so it's been really difficult for me to have all my stuff in place, and I'm kind of garnering them all. I'm pulling them in slowly into Plattsburgh, which is still an hour from my house, but I need to get my stuff together. So it's not just my physical stuff, it's my digital stuff too. I would like to have all my digital stuff together. And I think this is really, it kind of probably hits home for a lot of us right now. Our stuff is everywhere, probably. It's probably been moved, it's been packed. We don't know where stuff is going. We don't know what we're doing in the fall yet for the most of us. I mean, I hate to bring this up, but this is kind of the reality. And I need a way to have my stuff together. And I think part of this conversation is coming, why this comes to my head is I'm thinking of my elementary friends, especially, who at this point are like in the process of setting up their rooms, right? This is what they do. They come in like early August, and they start the process of setting up their rooms and getting their charts ready, getting their rooms ready, and actually creating a space for them that they're comfortable in, that their students are going to be comfortable in. And then they build like anchor charts, right? We all have those anchor charts, is really where I'm going. So we have a set of anchor charts that we use with our kids all the time. Unless you guys bring them home, and rock on if you do, like they may not be available to you. So I'm trying to think of times that we need a space to put those kind of documents for ourselves. We can keep them all right in our Google Drive, but wouldn't it make more sense if we kind of had them all in one place? So I'm thinking a Google Site is that, because it's almost a forward facing, it's an outward facing spot for not only your colleagues, but your parents, if you're going to be working with parents, and your students. And it's a little different than Google Classroom, right? Because Google Classroom is going to change every time you put a post in. For some of your students, that's overwhelming. And I'm thinking of students with special needs, especially. For your parents, it's probably a bit overwhelming. And we know that we've had them in that setting. Well, we may have. Some of your parents may have been in that setting last year, but now we're going to get new ones. What if we created a space, a Google Site, that was a place where they could see the changes and we can explain the changes to them? If they clicked on a page, everything would be right there for them. That's my thought process. So I'm kind of thinking teachers, students, parents all at one time. So I'm going to look at my structure right here. So I'm going to look at my pages, and we know that if I come over here, so these boxes right here, before I expand them, these are the tabs that come across. The more I put, the more that'll show up. You will eventually run out of room and the text will start to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, right? But I can have all these sub pages. So if I come into that stuff page and I just click on that, it's going to open my page up, and this is the place that I can work. So what if I'm in the midst of this and I decide, yeah, this is like the stupidest name ever made for man. It pretty much is, right? And I decide I just want to change it, and I want to maybe just work on it a little bit, and I want to call it a parent page. So I just kind of come out of here, change that pretty easily. I can change my images. I have all my images together so they all match, so the same. You don't have to. You could change them if you wanted one that was a little bit more parent friendly. You could absolutely come in. And what if in here I started to put the pieces together for the parents that they needed, like, so let's just take this out. I'm going to delete that. And maybe in here, I'm just going to put, I'm going to put my Google Classroom link. Okay. So that's right there for a parent. So I might put it in here so they know how to get to it. And this could just be a link to Google Classroom because once they're signed in, they'd be able to get in automatically. And then maybe I put a resource document here. So let's take this out. I might not, sorry, I'm not gonna take that out only because I think I have some people using it. So I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna insert one of these and I'll put it up here. Whoa, right there. I want it underneath. Or yeah, perfect. So I may put a resource document in here. So thinking about what a resource doc would look like for my parents. It may be my contact information, when we're going to meet, all of those pieces. So it's right here because when I start to do this in Classroom, this is going to come on the front page. And in Classroom, you're going to post it. But as soon as you post another thing to the stream, it's going to pump down. And I pump another thing in the stream, it's going to bump down. So this might include things. I'm just going to make a little list here. Time we will meet. Whether it's going to be sync or async, if that's going to be allowable, maybe expectations, and even just a link to this page. I mean, which is going to link them back so they'll always have that. So this would be a document they'd have. Having that document built here, so I'm going to upload from my drive. This is the part that I like the most because it's so simple. All that stupid HTML text crap is gone, for lack of a better, I know, sorry, I just used a bad word on Monday morning, right? So I'm going to just say I'm looking for a contact hours. I think I have one of those in here. I might be lying to you, but I'm hoping not. Look at that, I have one. And I'm just going to put the document in. So I have contact hour. I have a document built already in here, which is perfect. And maybe I want to go in. So I have this set to go, right? So anytime I search this in Drive, so I just come out here and I look for contact hours and I look for this document, right? And it is right here. So this document right here, I can make the changes right within my Drive. It's going to automatically refresh out. I may use the same exact document and throw this up in my Google Classroom. And I know a lot of people right now are thinking, okay, now I'm doing double work, right? I am doing double work, but I also want you to think of the classroom as a way to, like, it's your classroom where you're pushing assignments to the students. It's changing all the time. And the Google site page has more, I don't want to say stagnant look, but it has more of a like one page shopping. And I think I use that concept over here. Everything's in one place, okay? And I like to say, think of a one-stop shop. I don't know if you guys know, like, right? A 7-Eleven. We used to call them one-stop shops when I grew up in Jersey. I know. Okay, I'll back up for New York talk. It's a Stewart's, right? Go to Stewart's. You can get everything you need, right? Even when there's a pandemic, you can still get to Stewart's. So thinking about having everything in one place. I think that valuable thing for students and for parents. They have this one place they can kind of check back into. So as a teacher with my own stuff that I want to find and I want to use and I want to have in here, I might make a page that maybe under my resources page, I made a section that was just mine, right? I could have a section that's just mine that I would use, and they would be my pieces. That may be my list of, so I maybe create a new one and I'm going to say units. I lied. I don't do anything with units, so I'm going to do topics. So I'm going to create a topic subpage. So it obviously went to the wrong place. So I want to see what happens. When it goes to the wrong place, I literally can click and drag it down and move it on my own. And I can move these around. See what I'm doing here? Literally can move them around anywhere I want. It's valuable also. So I'm going to put it back up here. I want it under, and I just click to drag it to something. Once the box turns blue, I've moved the page. So that's how you're recreating that structure. Unlike, that's how you link them. That's all you have to do to link them. I don't have to find the web address for this and push it here and have that. So now I have a topics page, and then I can come in here and I can create a structure. You could make this like a planning structure for yourself, and you know, insert a table, you could work your way through and just kind of build what you need. You could make a table of contents. You could make a Google Doc that's just your thought process as you're walking through your year of where you're going to go and your plan as you're getting there. So that's a real simple concept, but I think it's helpful. I'm looking at some of the people in the room and I'm thinking, you know, I might want, quite honestly, I might want a list in here. I'm going to come up here and grab this one. So I know that Allison's a librarian and I use her a lot. She may want to put YouTube videos in here of books. So I'm going to look for the Dot because I'm pretty sure the Dot has a free one. I know they do. So she can go through and she can put the Dot, and I saw this on somebody's Bitmoji, which I think is a bit much, but she could put different books in here and could have a set of books that her students would have available for them to read virtually, right? You can do this with any site, which I just think this is a nice way to put some books out. Maybe the books that you're going to read this week will all be right there. Let's even amp it up a bit. Maybe it's the books that you have read to your students are there. Oh my God, Virginia, what are you thinking? You're talking all crazy now, right? Or maybe they're the books that your friends have read. So I'm going to look because I don't know if I can find Ben Barkley, who's a principal. He is a principal, and I don't know if he started his own. He did not. I was wondering if he started his own web page. He did a challenge. This is one of my former teachers that I used to work with, and he did, I think they just saved them on the Salmon page. They did a read aloud challenge where every teacher had to read a book to the students. So if it was uploaded to YouTube, he'd be able to come in here, grab that link and put it in. I'm just going to throw one of these in for now. Okay, so these are like my links. Other videos, these are my links. I can add any link in there as well. So you could have a set of the books that you've read. So if you're using a screen recorder like Screencastify or Loom or WeVideo or Screencast-O-Matic, God, there's a gajillion out there, and you're recording yourself reading. And I know for a lot of people, we get really weirded out, right? Because we're on video, right? I think most of us are by that now. You know, you can actually record it just like this. I've seen a lot of people pick the book up, read it like this, and then turn the pictures for the kids. Hey, you know what? That works. It works because kids want to hear your voice. They really want to see your face, but they want to hear your voice too. All right. So that was new. Did you see that? That kind of gave you a new kind of setting there. I've never seen that. Oh, isn't that fancy? So you can also put text underneath it. So you can have a set of books. I don't think, because somebody asked me this the other day, can you get more than 5 or 4 books? I don't know. I'm going to see. I think they'd be too small to see across the size, but you can totally resize these. You can make them all over the place. Not like that. They do get a little wonky. That's the only thing I don't like about sites. I do like the grid bars. I don't know how many you could put in here. To me, 4 is good. I'd probably never go beyond 4 because I'd want students to be able to see the size of the book. So this is a nice way to push a library to your students as a teacher. And I just want to encourage you that so many people have made their books available online. Who wrote me that question? Is this true? I think so ended in June. So you know what? If it was books, if it was your own books being read, that's a possibility. But like this book is actually read by the author. A lot of authors have gone out and have made their own series. You know, I don't know the answer, Cindy. Do you know that, Allison? Have you heard anything about copyright and books being pulled back? You can talk. Here, I'll turn you. No, she says. Okay. She's typing an answer. Allison's my librarian in the house. Most ended in June. So that being said, understanding that we're in this new pandemic thing, I'm expecting software companies to push things out again. So I heard if a teacher was reading it, it had to be removed. So that also has to do with a setting too. Remember, you have settings that it can't be published. You like that? So if you have a link as private, you know what, this does get into copyright a little wonky. If you change your settings in your YouTube videos to private and you're the only person that has it, you know, you don't have to throw them out. YouTube may come through if they were published and they were public. They may have that. Books that are read, you know, kind of look for the books that you're looking for. I know that the Peter Reynolds books, there's a lot of them out there. And that becomes more of a, like, you have to do a little bit of research to see what's out there. You can also, if you're reading a book in a session with your students and you're recording it, just remember, they have not extended permission to publish, read aloud online. So far, I like that so far, yet, the power of the yet, right? So hopefully that may come, and we don't even know what kind of setting we're in. So I think this is a nice way to use videos that are out there. So, and I would encourage you to read, you may want to create on a Google site almost a help desk. So I'm going to insert a new page and I'm going to create a help desk. So I think we forget that sometimes not only do we not know how to do it, but let's create a help desk for our students. And that could be some mini videos about how to navigate. And when I say mini, some of my friends say under 10, and I'm like way less than that. I'm like under 5 is good, under 2 is ideal. That's hard, right? So we think about mini videos as far as navigation are concerned, like how to navigate a Google Classroom. Like, so, and you don't have to build it. So this is the thing that people get really, I have to make all those videos. No, 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 no. We're going to use the power of YouTube because YouTube has so many things that we can grab. So let's just take like this one. And I am going to go to YouTube, for example. I'm going to do Classroom. I'm going to do Google, if I type in the box, Google Classroom student view. Okay, we're going to go look and see what's out there. Now, I know that I'm pretty sure Bill Vaca has one. Okay, here's a 6-minute one, but it's old, right? 2015 is not going to help our kids. We have to be really careful that we're using anything from 2019, 2020. So this one right here. Ooh, so this one, I'm going to grab this one. Google Classroom view. So student view. So this is a great example of using somebody else's video to kind of give your students an overview. So this would be a way to create that little mini help desk. Maybe you're going to create, maybe you're going to use a new product with your students. Maybe you're going to use Edpuzzle and you decide I'm going to use Edpuzzle. So the first time through, I'm going to make sure my students know what to do and where to click and how to use it. So maybe I'll make a little section of Edpuzzles and I'll put together and it'll be 3 little pieces. So that's a good way to kind of have this repository. So now, and teach you a little trick too. I want to put my latest and greatest videos on the top. So I'm going to grab this one and I'm going to post. See, do you see that blue line that popped up here? This is, I can grab that and it'll automatically go to the top and I can continue to do that. So what if I decide I want to, maybe this is going to be Edpuzzle. I'm going to just put a name in here. Maybe this one is going to be Screencastify. And I work along and I'm like, oh man, I forgot to do one. So you see where the blue line is? I can pop another one right in there. So this allows my students to kind of navigate up and down. I can put little ones next to each other if I want to. And I can always, once I get a couple, I can do a set of 4 down at the bottom. Once I feel like they have those conquered, I can have them and make them smaller little boxes. Don't throw any out because I was having this nightmare, and it was last night. We're going to get our kids all trained. You know what's going to happen? We're going to get new kids and we're going to have to start again. And we can't even build relationships with new kids because we're going to get new kids remotely if that happens, right? It's just going to be a weird setting for us. And I'm on like the negative side. I'm saying I don't know the answer. Somebody wanted my honest opinion. I'm like, I have no idea. I have no idea because I know in the North Country, we've had a massive influx all of a sudden of COVID cases. So we could get closed down tomorrow and everything changes again, right? Let's just say people are being overly smart here. Get the reference there. So, so in the last, we've had a big change. Thank goodness one was just traced to one area. So I don't know what's going to happen, and whatever happens could change 3 times before we start in September. All right, so I want to come back to this contact page. So having a help desk, so those little mini videos that maybe you look for, and I would always look before you build. Always look before you build, because quite honestly, there are some great people out there, and they are making videos hand over fist as fast as possible that are going to help your students do what you need. Sometimes it may be a video that you find on the website that helps students navigate, and I would highly encourage that. Okay, so so this is pretty much that. So let's talk about students. What are some ways that I could use sites with students? So anybody here from Schenectady? I didn't even look at my list. Do I have any Schenectady friends? No. So Schenectady in the past, and Andrew Yockler and, oh, do you think I can think of the other name right now off the top of my head? I cannot. Yep, Michael Sheridan are 2 teachers at Schenectady who they have been using sites for students to create their own portfolios. So what does that really mean? So I'm going to go into one of my other sites, and I'm just going to tweak in that one so I'm not in my original sites. Oop, don't close that one, Bond, because that would be a mess. No, that's the one you do want to close. Sites. So I'm going to go out here. Ha! Gonna go into sites. Oh yeah, there we go. Thank you. Boy, I could not. And there's a lot on their team in Schenectady. And the middle school for sure. Oh, Katie, you're from Schenectady. Well, there you go. So how did I miss that? Oh, it says it right across the top. I just can't read. And one of the things I really like about this, I'm gonna grab this one just because this is an older one that I've used in the past. You could come in here and students can build their own sites. So one of the things about building a site with a student is that students are really in control of the content, which I love. And it's also students are in control of the content. So it's a love, hate me kind of thing, but it's a great way to teach students how to be really appropriate online. So Google Sites is for students over the grades over age 13. But I know that Schenectady gets a waiver for that for their students in the middle school because they start like 6, right? Grade 6. All right, I thought I was right. 6, 7, 8. And what they do is every year students add their work, their portfolio into a Google site, and that in the spring of their 8th grade year, they basically do the equivalent of like a dissertation walkthrough. They basically walk parents or teachers through their portfolio and explain why pieces are their best. Now think about that concept, right? Teaching them to be reflective of their own work. How wonderful is that? And I know when I was teaching at Salmon River, we did this, we had students go through their writing portfolio and they'd pull out their best writing and then explain why. And it could have been from any time in the year, and to really be reflective about what it was and why it was important. But I love the fact of having it pushed out to a Google site, because then it becomes and it's outward facing. It's great for other people. You really expand the place for people to have that. So it would look like something along these lines. So I could insert a page, and this would be 6th grade. I really should do this not as, you know what, I'm gonna do it. So just pretend that this is mine, 2020, okay? So done. I'm gonna make a 2020 page. So this is my 19 to 2020. So this would be last school year. Because I could do it as well, because I could go back and I could build these reflective components through as well. And then I could put the work that I have progressed in here. So I could insert, say, and by the way, my friends, don't ever use the embed. That's like, don't use that. That's bad. Either use these right here or come down and use these icons. So I could come in and I could put a document and I could say, okay, what's the document? What are the documents that I'm the most proud of from the last year? And I'm literally just, I'm not really doing a lot here to be perfect, but I'm going to put this up. Maybe this is one of them. And then I could put a text box next to it and I explain why I like that. I could come through and do my different pieces. Now, I think they have it, they're doing ELA, they're doing every subject, right? So they have it all together and students are kind of walking through, putting their pieces up, and then at the end of 8th grade, actually walking through and kind of having those mini discussions about why this is important. I love the fact that students are getting this world access. Students will write better if you give them a bigger platform. It kind of automatically solves the situation of, well, who's going to read it? Because there's a big difference between me reading it and like 100 people reading it, or me reading it and 40 people. Like all of a sudden, conventions become important, my content becomes important. All of those pieces really matter. So that's a great way to use it for students. Now, if you have if your district won't allow that, you as a teacher could actually create portfolio pages for your students the same exact way. You could create pages for your kids across. You could have a student work page and then create those portfolio pages, and you'd be able to push those pieces up. And then they would be able to have this outward facing portfolio for students. So that's another way to use Google Sites. I love blogging. I say that. I love blogging. I think blogging is important for students. You could actually, in a site, you could allow students to literally just write in here, which is, a different concept. Maybe some of you blog, maybe some of you don't. I would love to say that I was very consistent at it. That would be a hard no. I will go through phases. It's typically because I'm just way too busy, but you can have students either do it on a doc or they could actually just do it in a text box, right? They could insert a text box and they could, they could blah, blah, blog in here without any problem, and they could just have a literal stream of consciousness. They could date it right up here and then they could type. Then they could date it and type. So this is also a good way for students. If you do 5-minute free writes, a lot of people do 5-minute free writes. It's a good way to teach typing to our students, our younger students, because right now that's going to be hard for us to do. And that's a skill that we know that our students are really missing. Students that don't have it, it's really impeding them. For other students, it's another way for them to just get better at it. They don't get better at it unless we have them do it. And quite honestly, probably most teachers, you can't see if they're double pecking with their 2 pointers, right? My husband is a double pecker. He just uses his 2 fork. He types so fast, it's crazy. I can't even keep up. He's actually much more accurate than I am. So at this point, we just need them to be able to do that. So a way for them to do some blogging or maybe just typing or story starters or anything like that is a way to have that information together. Sorry, I went to the wrong thing. And then really just publishing their work out to the world, I think is a valuable thing. Like I said before, they're going to write much better if they know they have a world audience. And world audiences, I think the thing I like the best about Google Sites is that I can publish out. So I'm going to publish this. Right here it is. That's a great name. Virginia Fun Space. You think this will get tagged by Google really fast? Probably, because this does not sound like a nice place to be or a weird place to be. So I can push it out and I can publish this out, right? And I did a bad thing. It's okay. I'm going to pull it back. So when I click the publish button. Yeah, thank you. I'm going to come back out here and I can unpublish. That is one of the things I really, 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 really like. I can push something out and I can pull it back. So I can publish, students can publish maybe for their parents to read or have something open for a short amount of time, and that they can unpublish things back. And that has changed in the last 2 weeks. Just so you know, that has been kind of more hidden. And when you opened it up, the unpublished was down here. And what they've done is they've pushed that out now to the publish button. I also like this, like you can manage who can view the site. So right now I have it set to anyone. This is the other thing I also like. I can just invite certain people. So if Katie decides to build a site and she only wants her students to be able to have access to it, that's exactly what she can do. She can list her students in there, and that is the only people that'll have access to it. So and that's even pushing it out. So she can push it out, she can publish it, and that's all who will have access to it. And that really kind of limits. I think that's good for students as they're starting the publication process. They can keep their world very small and they can expand it slowly. Okay, done. There are some, cancel, right? Yeah, all right. So I am gonna publish this just once, so I want you to watch the unpublished process. And it will show you, it'll take you out, it'll give you a website, right? So it's pretty easy to use. And then when you come back, this down arrow now has my publish settings. I can see my changes and I can look at, plus I can just unpublish and that will pull it right back. So, which I am going to do with this because that's pretty awful. Don't want that out there in the world. Hoping that makes sense. That's easy, right? Pretty simple. Okay, the next one. So the last one is just for parents. Think about an organizational structure for parents, and it could be as simple or as complicated as you want to make it. I guess that's what I want to say to you. You don't have to make this so difficult that it's you don't have to make it difficult for yourself or for parents, and you can actually, having a parent button up here could just be some resources for them for social emotional. It may be something for you. It could be like, again, I said, information about when you're going to teach this week, because maybe you'll be on a routine, so you'll be doing like a couple hours in the morning, a couple hours in the afternoon. The best way to contact you, and I'm going to say this for this reason kind of specifically. I have a friend who has 4 kids, and 2 were in middle school and 2 were in high school. And all 4 of the kids used Google Classroom. And parents signed up for emails, and she called me almost in tears the next day after she got her email summary. She's like, oh my God, and that was what she sounded like. She was like, I don't even know what to do because there's so much stuff coming at me. I said, number one, roll yourself back to weekly emails because it'll be easier than having that daily. So I think that would be easier as a parent. It was most sites that weren't updated instead of having to keep going in. Oh, you know what, Christina, that's a good point. And to keep them simple, I think it depends on how much you want to update. If it was, to me, if it was a parent section, right? If I was in here and it was, I'm thinking from a teacher, if it was a parent section and I wanted them to have my latest and greatest information, I would put it in a Google Doc. Because once I update the Google Doc up here in my contact hours, if the link is here, it'll automatically update here, and it would automatically update in my Google Classroom. So that both of those linkings would be happier, easier. Yeah, and I like it. Simply, totally, just easy on both parents and teachers. And for those, right, because it just makes a huge difference. And that one page to go to, I think, is just valuable for parents to have all that stuff, because even now they're navigating through things. And they're still going to use Google Classroom. right? And maybe that's the only reason you use a classroom. That's up to you, right? You could have a what to do when you're done, right? What to do when you're done with learning. So I know that some districts, some schools are using it. They're putting some like games in there for students that are, you know, a little bit better for their kids. Some are putting their links to the software that the district is using. So if you're like an iReady school, they have an iReady link. They may be using things like IXL, they're putting that up. They may be having News ELA up in this. So not only is it there for parents, but it's also there for students to come through, because you can reference students to the same space. You can have students go to the parent page. There's nothing wrong with that. That's really helpful. And then, you know, I just think those things make it a little easier for all of us in the long run. Okay, so I am at 10 minutes. So this was the other thing that I wanted to do as well. I wanted to hear, because I'm going to stop sharing. How dare I? Middle school had 7, right? Oh my gosh. So Christina, like exactly. So, and it wasn't even you that I was talking about, right? Anybody who has more than one kid in a middle school or high school, and you have classes coming and you're getting those emails, it's like chaos, right? It's absolute chaos for anybody to have to deal with that. So really, I'm going to unmute you guys, because if you want to be, you're all unmuted anyway. I never muted you. I'd like to hear some of your ideas. What are you thinking? And I want to add it to the document, because I know that you've got some ideas out there, right? What are your thoughts as far as, or what are your questions? Either way, and I will address both of them. So we have time, which we never have time. I always like a little bit. So I'm here for questions. I'm also here for ideas. Got any ideas? Come on, guys. I know it's Monday. Give me something. You can talk to me. Nobody has to type.
Well, as a world language teacher, can you hear me?
I sure can, Christopher.
Awesome. All right. So as a world language teacher, I definitely would love to use this as a resource, because um I can give them different assignments, and it's more authentic, specifically for like when we're doing different things about culture, maybe having them work in groups virtually, and then have them create a website about a Spanish speaking country that they can publish,
I
where
love that
it's
idea.
yeah, so it's something that, they can be proud of, that we can showcase, possibly to administration and also to parents, but then also they're learning how to navigate on a virtual platform, for something like that's more, a little bit more authentic.
I agree. I think this is, and I think that's part of this. When you're using this with students, that real life, authentic world concept. And I'm also going to send you today, when I send through the video, I'm going to send the link to the original training. So you'll have that as well, like walking through how to teach Google Sites, or just the pieces of Google Sites, because it's really easy. I think having students build, so anytime we come out of consumption and we go into creation mode, we've really amped up the whole concept, right? Because we've moved from the bottom of the Bloom scale to the top, or the bottom of depth of knowledge up to level 4. We've gone all the way up, right? We've kind of amped it because we're making students not just chew and spew, which is what I like to say, right? They're not just chewing and spewing data back to us. They're chewing it, they're navigating through it, they're reworking it, and they're remolding it into something that they can use themselves. And then they create that finished product. And I think that is so valuable. Chris, you said it much better than I could, so thank you very much. Anyone else have any other ideas out there? I'm adding them as we go.
Good morning. I just wanted to ask a question about EdLaw 2D, and specifically what I needed to be worried about, because I'll be using the school domain, and we haven't received a lot of guidance in our district yet about extensions, things that it was like everybody was running to the deadline for EdLaw 2D, and then it was, oh no, what are we doing now? to reopen, and then we kind of have a information vacuum at the moment. So what about extensions? So,
So extensions are at the, you'll love this, at the pleasure of the district.
Okay.
And I have some districts, so some districts that are super open, they're gonna let teachers install anything they want, which I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of like, I love that, right? Some districts I have are turning them all off, every one of them, even for teachers. So there's like, I don't know, reason is what I would like to rule the land. So to me, the kicker is it looking for PII? Let me share a resource for you. And I'm gonna come back out here. I'll put it in the presentation as well. This has nothing to do with this, but it's really important, I think. And this is it. It's called privacy.commonsense.org. So everybody knows Common Sense Media. And I'm just going to look up, you can look up any program here. So think about what you're using with your students, and then you want to come check it. So when I come in and check it, Screencastify gives every program a score. And then if you click on the pass, and they have pass and not pass, they have lots of not pass, and I will show you what it looks like. It will walk you through the pieces of what it collects, what data it shares, how secure is the data, what rights do I have to the data, is it sold, how safe is it, and it kind of goes through, these are all those EdLaw 2D questions that are asked, and you'll see like it gets a score. So if I come back out here, and I just look for anything. So I just click see evaluations. This is a really nice tool. So you can see some get a hard 0, right? And you'll see that they're kind of all over the place. But what I like about it the best is that when you click into it, it does tell you what they're doing and how it's secure it is. And then really your district's DPO is going to have to make that call, right? Sites is not considered to be a core component. Some districts are opening it for teacher use only. Some districts are going to require there to be an addendum from Google about Google Sites selling student information. Now, Google says it's not going to. Most DPOs are going to want that backup for Google Sites in general. So just remember, anything you link through, just be careful. But most districts are going to tell you that in general as far as sites. As far as extensions are concerned, Christina, I think that's a harder conversation because some of these companies are so small, like, and you look at my extension list, right? And mine is massive. Those of you who've ever been to a training with me, I have so many extensions. It's going to be hard to get a contract with them. Some of them are free. It's going to be an even harder contract to get. No free company is going to hire a lawyer to get you a agreement that you put on your website. So yeah, I wish I had a better answer. Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's beyond helpful already. Thank you.
Okay, it's a non-answer answer, and I would say, Christine, like go to your DPO if you know who it is. Is it Karen Conroy? Maybe it may not. I don't know.
I don't think so. We kind of have an admin vacuum at the moment in this area.
Well, it's going to be it has, well, I say it has to be an administrator, does not really. It has to be a leader. Some districts in the region, and I don't know if Voorheesville is one, some districts are purchasing that service through NARIC. I don't think Voorheesville is one of them, but yeah, it's they got a little bit of lead time because the EdLaw 2D got pushed out till October. So not that it's helping, but you know, they have other things to worry about right now. All right, we are almost at 9 o'clock. I want to be very respectful of your time. Please know that I am going to share this information to you once I get the recording back. You have at the top of the document, I am going to stop sharing again. You have at the top of the document my contact information. I'm trying to get permission for you. You can book me for teachers in my district. Oh, Cindy. I mean, personally, I love it because I feel like it's a little easier than, setting up the slot, no, the calendar every time. It can be done that way. But I also think it depends on the district. To me, if you were using it with students, then it becomes a different issue because then you do have to know about the PII that's involved with it. And if you're using it for adults only, because EdLaw 2D really covers our students' PII, it doesn't cover teacher PII. That's one of the things to always keep in mind. And if you are using a website that doesn't require your students to log in, you're good to go. So start thinking about those kind of sites. If a student can get to a site with just a code, like Wakelet is always one of the ones I like to think about. Wakelet is very much like Padlet, except Wakelet requires a code. You don't have to sign in. There's a couple others I was thinking the other day that were like this. It wasn't Edpuzzle. Kahoot is like that, right? Kahoot is just a code to get in. Gimkit is just a code to get in, although Gimkit just did a revamp this summer, a big one. So it's kind of changed the way things work. Okay, so just keep those things in mind. I definitely don't have I don't have very many EdLaw 2D answers. I just know to go to your DPO to do the best you can. But if you weren't using it with students, Cindy, I mean, that's an option. And I have never tried, I'm looking right now, the BookMe app, BookMe. I'm going to see if it shows up in the, okay, I think it's BookMe. I'm going to see if that shows up on Common Sense. Does not look like it does, so, which is a bummer. Okay, sorry guys. Oh, there you go. Well, Christina, it's a great purchase. Content, right? Databases, anything that's purchased through a RIC or a BOCES has been vetted for EdLaw 2D, which is really a big thing to keep in mind. We are in a state contracting, we work with state contractors through Erie One BOCES. So either the SCORE contract or the ITCC contract, both of those, and we have a big long list and we're trying to work through them. I would say that the librarian, always check with your library media services. And I know that in the CAP region BOCES, we've been working with Annie Gertzoff out of CRB. And we've actually been I've been trying to establish connections with all of the librarians in each of the regions just to be better service to people. Like I do know that EdLaw Puzzle is covered under the contract, but you have to have a purchase contract and all of those other pieces. So thanks everybody. I hope you have a great day. I'm going to stop recording. I'm going to stick around for a couple minutes. Let me know if you have any questions.